How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? It's finally here, and in today's video we'll be going over the Nvidia control panel and in-game settings for the Division 2. This tutorial will help you to achieve the maximum visual fidelity for your Division 2 experience. I will also be covering some other little details and tips along the way. This will make a significant difference in your Division 2's graphics. So let's go ahead and hop right on into it. Alright, so we're going to start off with the in-game settings for the low-end PCs. And by low-end PCs, I mean that old desktop or laptop that almost got dust on the top of it, 10 years old. And you just want to pick up a computer and give the game a try on PC. These settings are for you. This should work on pretty much any computer. How well it'll look will be up to you. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to start off by changing the default in-game graphics settings from custom to low. Next, you're going to leave VSync mode on, frame rate limit off, shadow quality you're going to leave on low, spot shadows low, spot shadow resolution low, contact shadows is off, resolution scale. Now resolution scale is something that you want to leave at 100. If you can leave it at the 100%, you want to leave it at the 100%. This is the last thing you want to change. There's one other setting within the in-game options, and that is object detail. You can adjust that, but these two you want to try to save for last. And if you do have to adjust one of the two, you want to start off with object detail. Alright, resolution scale you want to try to leave at 100 at all costs. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue on. Sharpening you can leave at 7. Particle detail you can change that to low. Volumetric fog can remain at low. Reflection quality can get changed to low. Local reflection quality you can go to off. Vegetation quality you can leave on low. Subsurface scattering you can leave off. Aniscopic filtering you leave at 1x. Parallax mapping you can leave on yes. Ambient occlusion you can leave on low. Depth of field can stay at off. And there go the object detail that I spoke of earlier. It's at default 37 when it's set to low. With this setting, what you want to do is after everything else done, when we get done with the Nvidia control panel part, if the performance still ain't up to par, you can cut this down to 35. Alright, and if it's still not good enough, you can cut this down to 30. But you don't want to go lower than that. At this point, if your computer's still struggling to run this game, instead, now you can change the resolution from 100, where we were up here, back up to the 100. You can go down to 85. Try it like that, see if it get better. If it still don't, then drop it to 75. If it still don't, then drop it to 50. Alright, but this is the last resort. This is after everything else. This is the one you can mess with that. Alright, so them the two that you can change if you need to. I'm hoping you won't have to go that low. 30 is going to be pretty ugly. 35 is acceptable, I would think, for somebody who just want to get a game a shot. Extra streaming distance you can leave at 0. Lens flare is ugly anyway, and it'll save you some performance. You can go ahead and shut that off. The vignette effect you can leave that on off. It's default on. You can turn that off. Water quality you can leave on low. Chromatic aberration you can leave on off. Projected texture resolution you can leave at 128. High resolution sky textures you can leave on no, and terrain quality you can leave on low. And this is pretty much the in-game settings for the low-end PC. Next we're going to move on to the Nvidia control panel. Now you can test the game where the settings are now and see if it's playable or not for you. But if not, it's some settings in the Nvidia control panel that will also make a significant impact without you having to change resolution or object detail. And that's what we're finna get to. So let's get to it. Okay, so moving on to the Nvidia control panel settings for the low-end PCs. Before we get into this, I just want to say that if you can't get access to the Nvidia control panel by simply right-clicking on the desktop, and there should be an option here, you click it and then you'll be in the Nvidia control panel. If you do not have this option, don't panic. Your computer may either A, be too old, or B, you might have an AMD unit instead. Alright, so don't panic if you don't got the Nvidia control panel. All you're gonna want to do is go back into the game, start at the object detail, maybe turn it down to 20 and see what you can tolerate. And the lower you can, once you get that to where you can tolerate it, then move to the resolution if you have to. Alright, and that's what you would do, and just try to start the game. Now, if you do have the Nvidia control panel, you're only gonna have to do a few things. The first thing you're gonna have to do is click program settings, then you're gonna want to click add, then you're gonna look for Tom Clancy's Division 2 in the recently used list. It should be there since we loaded it earlier, but if it is not, you can go to browse, navigate to see program files, Uplay, and then somewhere in there you should be able to find the Division 2 exe. You can also search for it and see program files as well. Alright, and then you can click that, you can load it into the Nvidia list of games, list of available games. So you'll move down to the Division 2. Make sure that you select Tom Clancy's The Division 2. And what you're gonna do first is turn on FXAA, set that to on. All the rest of the anti-aliasing options, you can leave them as they are. The CUDA GPU option, if you got a computer, even though it's old, because I got some that's 10 years old with GTX 480s in them, I think. So if you got a GTX 480, you want to select it. Whatever your graphics card is, if possible, you want to select that graphics card with the CUDA GPUs, okay? Max prefender RAMs can stay the same, multi-frame sample can stay the same, OpenGL can stay the same. Power management mode, you want to set to prefer maximum performance. Shader catchy, you can leave it as it is. Now the texture filtering, however, you can change texture filtering to on, and this will increase your performance a little bit more. The negative LOD base can stay at allow. Texturing filtering quality you can change to high performance, not quality, high performance. This will again increase the computer's performance. Texture filtering, trilinear optimization, you can set to off. Be careful, you saw how that changed on me? Be careful that that don't happen to you. Make sure you always change the options for Tom Clancy's The Division 2. Alright. Threaded optimization, you can leave alone. Tripper buffering, you want to set that to on. Alright. And vertical sync, this one is kind of tricky. Alright, if you start the game, don't change this one yet. But if you start the game and it's still kind of skippy or jittery or anything like that, shut off vertical sync in the Division 2 settings first. Turn off the vertical sync, quit the game, come back out here to the Nvidia control panel and set it to fast. Fast works really, really well. Alright, I'm almost tempted to change the whole video just to change the turning it on in the first place to just leaving it off and instead using fast. That's how good it is. So you might want to consider that. That's something that you can change now if you want, or you can try it without it and then change it again later. But fast works extremely well for getting better performance out of old computers. And so if you do everything correctly, yours should look pretty much like this. On, preferred maximum performance has been changed. On, high performance, off. Oh no, that's wrong. I'm sorry, I said the wrong one. That's supposed to actually trilinear optimization actually supposed to be on. I don't know why I said it to off. And that'll conclude the settings for the Division 2 low-end PCs. Okay, so in this part of the video, we're gonna go over the in-game settings for mid-range PCs. And by mid-range PCs, what I mean is PCs with GTX 970s or below. Alright, so these settings will be for you. So let's go ahead and hop right into that part. We're gonna start off by changing custom down to high. We're gonna leave VSync mode on, frame rate limiter off, custom FPS limit off, shadow quality, you can set that to medium. What we're going to be doing is making some sacrifices in shadowing quality due to the partnership with AMD instead of the almighty Nvidia. We've lost some of the optimized shader options that normally would be here. Alright, so we're going to just cut down on the shadows to gain a significant increase in performance. Alright, so we're going to turn that down to medium. We're going to turn spot shadows down to medium, and we're going to leave spot shadow resolution at high. Alright, that's the only one you want at high, spot shadow resolution. Next, we're gonna leave contact shadows sun low. Resolution scale we're gonna leave at 100. Sharpening we're gonna leave at 7. Particle detail we're gonna turn down to high. There's another sacrifice that we're making to later adjust object detail to a higher level. Alright, we're gonna change volumetric frog down to the medium setting. reflection quality, you can leave at medium. Local reflection quality, you can leave at medium. Vegetation quality, you can leave at medium. Uh, yeah, no, local reflection quality set to medium. Sorry about that. Vegetation, stay medium. Subsurface scattering, you can leave on. Aniscopic filtering, you can leave at 18x, but with some of the changes we made, you may be possibly able to get to 16x, but we'll come back to, you can change that if the performance still high enough. Go ahead and take the 16x, but when you finish this, if it's perfect, which it should be about perfect, you can leave it at 8x. All right, it's gonna vary on whether you got the what version of the 970 you may have. If you below the 970, 9 out of 10, you're gonna have to leave it at 8x. Parallax mapping, you can leave yes. Ambient occlusion, you can leave that set to high. Depth of field, you can leave on. Object detail, okay, now object detail, for this particular one, that's why we made so many sacrifices earlier. You're gonna want to turn this up to about 80. All right, and then you should be able to get good performance out of it at the 80, and it will look a lot more detailed. This is the option you really want to adjust. So any room you got in there for the performance, turn this up a little bit more until the game get unplayable, or to a degree that you just don't like. Next, the extra streaming distance, you can leave at 5. Lens flare, you can turn off. Unless you like lens flare, you can leave it on. Alright, but lens flare is ugly to me. I don't even know why they put it in games. So you can turn off lens flare if you want. The vignette effect, you can leave that to off. Okay, that's another one that it don't really make it look as good in my opinion. Water quality, you can leave that set to high quality. The chromatic aberration, you can leave set to on. The projected texture resolution is already at its max at 512. You just leave that there, it won't hurt anything. Now the high resolution sky textures, that's another one that's up to you. If you still ain't satisfied with the performance, you can set that to no. Alright, because it's just, the sky is important, but it depends on how much you're going to be looking at it. But this will give you another significant boost in performance by just shutting this off. That'll let you get a little bit more out of the object detail, and that'll also let you possibly get the 16x as well for the aniscopic filtering. Alright, and this is pretty much the settings that you're going to want to have if you got the mid-range PC before we make the changes in the Nvidia control panel, which is coming up next. So let's just go ahead and get right to that. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the Nvidia control panel settings for the mid-range PCs. What you're going to want to do is right click on your desktop, go to the Nvidia control panel. If you got the right GTX graphics card at this point, you should be able to right click and open NVIDIA control panel. If you cannot, you may have an AMD unit or something else, and this won't apply to them graphics cards. Alright, so now pretty much all you want to do here is go to program settings. And again, if you don't have the Division already in your list of available games, you're going to want to click add. And it should pop up in your recent as the Tom Clancy's Division 2. You can click that to add it to the list of available games, and it should add it in here if it wasn't, and then you can go there and you can make sure that you select it. Make sure that you always are changing the settings for Tom Clancy's Division 2. If you scroll the mouse wheel or something, it'll change it. Alright, so you want to make sure you're always doing the Tom Clancy's Division 2. Alright, so in this one, we don't really got to change very many things. We're going to definitely take the CUDA GPUs and you're going to set that to whatever graphics card you have. Make sure you check the box, like so. Use these GPUs and boom. Then you're going to move down to power management mode. You're going to set that to prefer maximum performance. Then you're going to skip down to negative LOD base and you're going to set this to clamp. Okay, you're gonna clamp the negative LOD bias. Then you can leave texture filtering quality alone, trilinear optimization. Everything else can stay the same except for vertical sync. Now this is optional. All right, inside of the Division game and the when we turned on vertical sync, you can use vertical sync, but you can also, if it's not performing up to standard, I mean, you're still getting jitters in there or something like this, you wanted to go for a little bit extra push on some of those settings, or you had a little more wiggle room, but now it got the messed up kind of frame rate, so it don't look as smooth. What you can do is disable the vertical sync within the division game first in the settings, go back in the settings in the game, turn off vertical sync, and then come back into the Nvidia control panel, and then you would just change this one to fast. Alright, and like I said before, in some ways fast is better than in-game vertical sync. You know, I had debated even for the low end PCs doing the same thing, having vertical sync turned off from the jump and turning on fast. But I'm trying to incorporate both so it leaves you with more options. Not everybody's graphics cards will be the same. I understand that some people may be able to push a little more, and some people might not even be able to push this. All right, so it just depending on what they have. So I'm trying to find something that's closer to a starting point, so to speak. All right, so some settings you will be able to turn up, some settings you will not be able to turn up. So you can play around with these options I'm giving you here first, and then make other adjustments to see how far you can go or how much lower you need to go. All right, so yeah, but vertical sync on fast, and then you'll just click apply, and there you go. That's the conclusion of Nvidia control panel and in-game settings for the mid-range PCs. Alright, so now it's time for the high-end PCs, and I must warn you, get ready for the biggest change you've probably ever seen in a game just from changing particular settings. This honestly really impressed me to see how spectacular this game could look. Alright, now the high-end builds, when I say high-end builds, I mean 980 Ti's, maybe some 980s. Alright, you can give it a shot, but 980 Ti's and above. As for the people with the 20 series, you finna have one of the best experiences I think you can get right now on a graphics card. Absolutely incredible. And to the division team, based off some of these settings that I've changed, I've noticed that it's almost an impossible difference. You know, I don't know, maybe something need to be checked out or something like that. I ain't sure, but maybe you can look through some of the settings that I'm finna provide and then take a look at the game again, like with these settings. It's incredible. All right, I got a feeling it got something to do again with that AMD partnership. AMD is AMD. Nvidia is the champion. All right, I don't know how many times I gotta say I love Nvidia. All right, I'm still I got my 980 Ti still, so I couldn't quite push this to the level that a lot of y'all gonna get to experience. And I'll point out parts of the settings that you can change to accommodate whatever graphics card you actually do have. But these settings I did at max, so I did have stuttering even though I push it to the maximum. All right, so now we're gonna hop in. I'm gonna give you those settings, and we're gonna get rolling on that. So first you want to go over to your graphics panel, of course. You can start by setting it to ultra. Okay, we're gonna set it to ultra, and now we're gonna go to VSync. VSync mode you want to turn off. Okay, we don't want VSync. We don't need a frame rate limit. We're gonna go to shadow quality. We're gonna put that on very high. We're gonna go to spot shadows. That's maxed out at high. That's maxed out at ultra. All high for contact shadows. Resolution scale 100%. Sharpening, you can just leave that at 7. Particle detail, you can leave that at ultra. That's the maximum. Volumetric fog, you can put on cinematic. Okay. Reflection quality, you can put on high. Local reflection quality is good at very high. Vegetation quality is maxed at high. Subsurface scattering, you can leave that turned on. Aniscopic filtering, that's the tricky part. You want to put this at 1x. Alright, aniscopic filtering, put that at 1x. Parallax mapping, yes. Ambient occlusion, very high. Depth of field on. Object detail, maxed out at 100. You go to full 100 on object detail. Extreme streaming distance 10 max. Lens flare, turn it off unless you prefer the lens flare. I personally don't like lens flare. It won't be a significant difference in performance, but I just don't really like it. Vignette effect, I also don't really like. The performance impact again is minimum, but you can still turn it off. I think it look better with them both turned off. Water quality, you can leave that set to high as far as it go. Chromatic aberration, you can leave that turned on. Projected texture resolution is maxed out at the 512. You can leave it there. High resolution sky textures, well, unless you can go higher than that. okay? But high resolution sky textures, yes, and terrain quality you won't set to high, as high as it go. And I said maybe higher than this because I don't got the 20 series, you know, I don't got no 2080 Ti, so I can't say for certain that maybe the 2080 Ti's might be able to push a little further than this. I'm not 100% on that, but just in case, if you can go further, push it to the limit. Alright, this is the part of the tutorial where we go for the maximum visual fidelity while being able to maintain a playable instance of the game as well. Alright, so for the better your graphics card, this gonna look incredible for you. Alright, so these are the settings that you want. Let me double check, make sure I got everything maxed out for you one more time so we don't got no complications, and then we good to go. Alright, so that's everything. That's all the settings that you need to obtain a higher visual fidelity than this game come with at the default, no doubt about that. Okay, so there we went over them all again, and now we're gonna move on to the Nvidia control panel. Okay, now moving on to the high-end Nvidia control panel settings. Alright, now to get to the Nvidia control panel settings, you're gonna right click on the desktop, you're gonna head over to the Nvidia control panel. Alright, then in global settings, this is the most important part of the entire tutorial for the high-end builds. This is a spectacular part, especially if you just got a 1080p monitor. This is definitely directed towards you. If you got a 1440p, you can also try this with the 2x. I don't know if the 4x will quite push it, but you can go for it. Just activate all of the different settings that I'm about to show you. You want to activate DSR. Alright, this is really important. You're gonna hit the DSR, check all of the boxes, okay, but the resolution we're going for is 4K. Alright, and I'll show you the setting in the division here shortly. We'll go back in there and change that setting to 4K so you can see what that look like. On a 1080p monitor is absolutely incredible with the following settings in Nvidia control panel. You want to take the DSR smoothness and you want to set that to 0. Alright, once you get done with that stuff, you're gonna click apply, and then you're ready to go to now we're gonna just head over to program settings, and if the division 2 isn't already in your list, again you can click add. It should be in your recent since we already launched it to do the settings. Just take the Tom Clancy's Division 2, add it to the list of selectable games. If the Tom Clancy's Division 2 still does not show, you can use browse, go to see program files, and you can also search for it there for the exe file of the Tom Clancy's Division 2. Alright, once you select it, it'll be added to the list. You can go down, make sure that you pick it, make sure that this is the one that stays up throughout the duration of the change in the settings. Alright, because if you scroll the mouse wheel, it'll move away. That's important. I've made that mistake a lot of times. Alright, so anyway, now let's get to the changes. Big changes. Alright, for aniscopic filtering, put that at 16x. Alright, that's why we set it to 1x in the game. Set it to 16x from the Nvidia control panel. Next, for anti-aliasing, you want to set it to enhance the application setting. Alright, this is another important part. Then you want to take the anti-aliasing setting and set that at 8x. Anti-aliasing transparency, you want an 8x super sample. The CUDA GPU, you want to make sure that you select your graphics card. If you have the 2080 Ti, the 980 Ti, whatever you have, make sure that you check to use these GPUs and select your GPU, hit OK. Okay, now you're gonna go down a little bit more. You're gonna change power management to prefer maximum performance. Alright, then you're gonna go down to texture filtering and anisotropic sample option. Set that to off. Texture filtering, negative LOD bias, clamp. Texture filtering quality, high quality. Texture filtering trilinear optimization, you want to turn that off. 30 optimization, you can leave that on auto. Tripper buffering, you want to leave that on off. And vertical sync, you want to set to fast. Okay, that's another important part. And this concludes the Nvidia control panel settings for the Division 2. Now when you start this game, be prepared to experience something incredible as far as settings is concerned. And in my opinion, it appears to be another demonstration of the power of Nvidia in comparison to AMD. Even though I'm AMD, I know they're working on some stuff. They're trying to make stuff more affordable, and I appreciate that. I appreciate their efforts. You know, if they get to a point where they can surpass Nvidia, be a cold day in hell, but I mean, I support it. I support the competition between the two. But right now, Nvidia is just too supreme. I wish that the division would have went with Nvidia. Alright, so now that that's all done, you can go ahead and fire the game up. Okay, so I see you got your game fired back up. So now for the last and final step, you're gonna want to go down to your video settings, and you'll see here you got the different resolutions for the game. Alright, This is 4K, 3840 by 2160. You will now have access to that even on the 1080p monitor, and it will look and perform amazing with the settings that I've provided you. Okay, so now say you're on 1440p. You can, like I said, you can try 2x, and you can try these different resolutions and see which one look the best or work the best for you, whatever it is that's going to be above your 2560 by 1440. Yep, you can also do that one on here. But you can just keep going up. I'm thinking 2880 probably gonna be more for y'all. Maybe you know, you might be able to get away with the 4K. I ain't sure. Give it a shot. But that's the resolution setting. This was designed for the 3840 by 2160. Okay, that's what I came up with all this for. Now, if you manage to stick with me this long in the video, I appreciate it. And so I got a little extra bonus. Here's something else I found. In third party, you got the Corsair IQ RGB lighting. Alright, and that is really cool. You want to turn that on, you know, especially if you a Corsair fanatic like me. You know, Nvidia and Corsair is my favorite two tech companies. Corsair because they take care of their customers like no other company. Alright, it's like Corsair is Jesus in the sky, and Asus is the devil from hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, I done dealt with both companies a lot, and Corsair is always good to me. I'm talking about, man, that company is one of the best. So I do support a lot of their products, of course. You know, they stand by them, so I support them a lot more. So as you can see, I got a lot of Corsair stuff. So if you got all as much as me, the keyboard, the mouse, the headset, the mouse pad, I even got the fans. You know, I got the two LL series fans. I mentioned this in the live stream, and I just wanted to point it out because I found this in there. And so I haven't seen it work yet. I haven't seen it do anything, but it's really cool to see that in there, man. I'm glad that at least they're working with Corsair. That's a good connection. So we're gonna see if the lighting effects or not work, but that's just a little bonus. You can activate that as well. I assume if you're on a high-end PC, you might have some stuff like this. So with that being said, that's gonna wrap it all up. I hope that y'all enjoyed the video. If it was helpful, drop a like, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you boys on the next one.